Tonight on a special Etalk.
My community owns this moment too.
Inside Martin Scorsese's moving epic.
That's the cry of despair for all that has gone down in that history.
This blanket is a target on our back.
Lily Gladstone, Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio.
I care about character. I care about the humanity.
How the Hollywood heavyweights boldly unpack a harrowing period in history.
Their time is over. That's it.
I was absolutely floored that this important of a story had been buried.
Exclusive interviews, behind-the-scenes access. This is Etalk Presents Killers of the Flower Moon.
I think the gamble was to take on this incredibly important story that really was a reckoning with our past.
A long, overdue spotlight on an overlooked tragedy.
This was quite different from anything I had ever read or seen before.
In the 1920s, after the Osage Nation unearthed a gold mine of valuable oil on their land, a series of murders swept through their community, orchestrated by white settlers scheming to inherit their fortunes.
Money flows freely here now.
I do love that money, sir.
Garnering critical acclaim for its stirring performances and cultural significance, the film delivers a sobering and unflinching depiction of what's historically known as the Reign of Terror.
They're like buzzards circling our people.
Yeah.
They want to pick us body clean.
At present, the film has been recognized by every major awards body, including 10 nominations and a prestigious Best Picture nod at next month's Oscars. With names like Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Robert De Niro attached, that may not come as a surprise, but it's another star who has captured the world's attention in Killers of the Flower Moon.
And the Golden Globe goes to Lily Gladstone.
First of all, congratulations. Congratulations on leading a project that's powerful and meaningful. Golden Globe winner, Oscar nominated, a historical
Feels like
nomination.
you're talking about somebody else.
Yeah, but you know what? If I could encourage you as a new friend, take it all in, because it's deserving. Lily Gladstone has become an instant icon, following her powerful portrayal of Molly Kyle, the Osage woman at the heart of Killers of the Flower Moon, whose family and community is torn apart by violence and greed.
You want to go to Washington, D.C.?
This may be the last thing I do.
It's a star-making performance and one that will rightfully go down in history as Lily becomes the first First Nations winner Indigenous to America at the Globes, taking home Best Actress and first Indigenous Oscar nominee Indigenous to America.
This is for every little res kid, every little urban kid, every little native kid out there who has a dream.
I know you don't do this for the accolades, but how does it feel to actually, get this recognition?
I mean, you can't really anticipate it.
Right.
It's just like, it happens. You have dreams that exist up here, and then, and then you have your reality that's this,
Right.
That's what you can actually see. So it's a very in-the-moment thing. It's overwhelming unless it's led by gratitude, and I'm just so grateful. But I think what's been feeling the most remarkable about it is how my community owns this moment too. But when it does take on meaning, and when I can feel it, when I can feel the celebratory nature of it, is because I'm seeing that reflected, not just in Blackfeet community, but like the Osage reaction at the Globes. There was a watch party and people leapt to their feet.
That.
Yeah,
That's
it was,
gotta feel so good.
It did. It was a triumphant shared moment for that community. So many of the people in that room were in the film or shaped the film, had family members in the film. But every category we were nominated in, people were cheering for. And the win felt like a win for everybody.
Well, even if she never did another movie, she's an influence already.
Oh, 100%.
Among our people.
Well, I mean, I feel like they should just hand her an Oscar award for that, because
Wouldn't
she
that
was
be something?
The Osage will surely be rooting for Lily again at next month's Oscars, where a win seems almost destined after a high school photo of Lily being voted most likely to win an Oscar recently made the rounds online.
From my first school play, when I, popped out on stage as Cinderella's evil stepsister, and the crowd went wild, just laughing. A lot of the other parents went to my parents immediately, like, "Oh, we're gonna see her in LA one day. We're gonna see her in Hollywood one day."
You were actually in Oklahoma for the Oscar nomination. Was that done on purpose, and was that the best place to be to find that information out?
Yeah, I felt like if this historic nomination does manifest, I want to be as close to Molly as I can be. There was something about the idea of just going home and like having only a family celebration and being so far away from Osage County that just felt wrong to me. So it was kind of a decision that was made in the moment to stay.
It was a good one. On the cusp of history, but still only now getting recognition from mainstream audiences, Lily's past powerful work foreshadowed her eventual impact.
It's just incredible to be at this point, 23 years into my career. You know, people will think of me as a newcomer because of this film, but it's been a lot of years of doing this.
That an actor of such profound talent has found it a long and hard road to get this recognition speaks to the unfairness that still exists in our industry today.
Lily Gladstone, when I think of this film, I see it, all I picture is Molly and her story.
I saw that Certain Women, Kelly Reichardt film. I said, that woman is amazing. You know, and then I got to talk to her, and that was it.
Notably, Lily burst onto the scene in Certain Women across from Kristen Stewart and Michelle Williams in 2016, earning a nomination for Best Supporting Actress at the Independent Spirit Awards.
I just knew if I didn't start driving, I wasn't going to see you again. Didn't want that.
Then, she won a Gotham Award for Outstanding Lead Performance for The Unknown Country last year.
What are you going to do after this?
Just kind of floating.
And most recently, Lily starred in the indie Fancy Dance, another film that provides a platform to a subject critical to Indigenous communities.
As far as I can tell, I'm the only one out there looking. The absolute highlight of my career, elevating the awareness of missing murdered Indigenous women.
I immediately sensed that she had the command of what we needed. And her own activism, I think, in Native American issues made me feel very, very excited.
I close my heart and keep what is good there. But hate comes.
It's that past work that helped get Lily in the door with Martin Scorsese and the Killers of the Flower Moon team, but her ensuing work spoke for itself.
What do you think it is about her performance that has resonated with so many people?
Well, she has an extraordinary face for cinema. She could do very little, and yet you know what's going on. You know there's stuff going on. It's happening behind her eyes. And yet she has a restraint and a dignity.
Why did you come here?
Lily Gladstone, who gave one of the most heart-wrenching, beautiful performances I've seen in a while.
Did you know how good of a performance it was and how powerful it would be in the moment?
Yes. Yes, definitely. You can feel it when you're doing a scene with her. She's so present and just so invested. You don't see Lily anymore, you see Molly.
Wow.
She's electrifying.
Was he murdered?
Don't know. Collaborating alongside her was one of the highlights of my career, and I continue to stand in awe of her extraordinary performance in Killers of the Flower Moon.
Leo and Lily's on-screen chemistry is undeniable as Ernest and Molly, but their connection off-screen has proven to be equally genuine.
You should
Stop saying this! Leo's just easy to be around, so that was a delight to discover. Good job, Ernest.
Take a picture of that.
The first time that we were cameras rolling, I found, Molly has to be very composed and cool in that whole thing. She's really the one who's grilling Ernest and giving him the 20 questions, and I was having a hard time making that go away. But by about take 4, the shakes were gone. You talk too much.
The scene in the car, for example, he's driving her, he's a taxi driver, and she speaks in Osage.
What
was that?
I think that moment on screen is you could see the relation between not only Ernest and Molly, but also Leo and Lily.
Yeah.
And how they just go from that moment and then started trusting each other in these scenes and working off each other.
That's how you are.
I don't know what you said, but it must have been Indian for handsome devil.
But that line is memorable for more than just Leo and Lily.
Would you mind giving us another slate, just a tail slate, please?
Sure. Tyrone Edwards from CTV.
Thanks so much, Tyrone.
Or Beau Diablo. That's French for handsome devil.
Hey, I'll take that laugh. But my Ernest impression ends there. Leo stands in a league of his own.
I ain't got nothing but regret.
The Oscar winner plays the morally questionable, impressionable, and in over his head Ernest Burkhart in Flower Moon.
It's supposed to be a suicide, you dumbbell. You didn't tell him to leave the gun. I don't know why I told him to leave the gun. I told him to leave the gun.
It's a big departure from many of the slick yet flawed characters Leo's played in the past, like the mysterious millionaire Jay Gatsby in The Great Gatsby, or the crooked stockbroker Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street, another Scorsese film.
I want to know what made you want to play Ernest with all the complexities that would require.
Well, I think the key word there is there was just more complexity in the dynamic of this relationship at the end of the day. In the original screenplay, it was really a footnote of what was a massive investigation into what actually happened during the Osage Reign of Terror.
When this money started coming, we should have known it came with something else.
Leo pulls double duty on this project, serving as both star and producer, and he helps shape this story with Scorsese, refocusing the narrative around Molly and the atrocities committed against the Osage, rather than the FBI investigation that uncovered it.
At one point, Leo wasn't playing this complicated villain. He was playing the investigator for the newly formed FBI, Tom White, the essential white savior. And that was of no interest to him.
Please send help. There's murder in Osage, and the police do nothing.
Had he done that, how unfortunate it would have been for audiences to walk away under the impression that the FBI are the saviors of Native women.
Instead, we get a story from the inside out, through the lens of Ernest's exploitation of Molly and her family.
Lily Gladstone, I didn't know her, and just seeing how Molly came alive in her as we were shooting was amazing. And seeing how Leo took this weakling character and really got into his soul was amazing.
I just love money. I love it as much as I love my wife.
I care about character, I care about the humanity, and with this love story, we had one of the most sort of twisted depictions of love I've ever witnessed. And we realized, look, not only are we getting into the heart of the Osage community and household and Molly's story more, we're going to be able to tell a love story about the corruption of the American dream. We're going to be able to do something, much more unique than a whodunit.
I don't even know if you love me anymore.
I am right here.
I'm really happy we made that shift because I think it got more to the heart of the truth of what the Osage felt this story should be about.
I was sent down from Washington, D.C. to see about these murders.
See what about him?
See who's doing it.
The goal of Killers of the Flower Moon was truth over sensationalism, which meant getting the blessing of Osage leaders, starting with Principal Chief Jeffrey Standing Bear.
Now, remember, we come from a history where Hollywood has stereotyped us. And I had said prior to my meeting with Mr. Scorsese, I will not stand for other languages, other tribes. We respect them, they have good ways, but this story is about us. And so he said he would take full advantage of the offers for our language and our culture people to spend time with him.
Language, traditions, clothing. The Osage were involved in every area of production to ensure that authenticity and respect for their culture was upheld.
This ended up being such a huge project for the community. The contribution of photographs showing up and people pulling out these old blankets that have been in their families and all of these different things that they want to share because the community wanted to get it right.
So, quick step, slow, quick step, slow.
The most important element of all of it for me was that I was never alone on set. If I was uncertain about a choice I was making, there was not just one, but several Osage people in every level of production close at hand.
We were able to really engage the community, which made such an epic movie feel like a community project. And it was really felt all the way across the set.
Clearly, the Osage and Flower Moon team built a relationship born out of respect and trust, a process that started in pre-production and ended with a transcendent film.
He addressed issue after issue that we had, and that all had to do with our concern that somebody else, once again, that is not an Osage, is going to be telling our story. And it went real well.
It showcases a very tragic moment in our history that has repercussions to this day of trauma for families. And we are here today, still in our traditional clothing, living our lives together, and we are able to dance around our drum, and we are still able to find joy, regardless of that.
I'm not interested in oil. I'm not interested in how they make it. I was more interested in what happens around the oil.
That estate money flows the right direction, it'll come to us.
With their full blessing and support, Martin Scorsese helps convey the contrast of Osage tragedy and tenacity with a deft hand.
The key to the picture, for me, I eventually found out by being with the Osage out there for quite a while. They were saying, don't forget, this is not a matter of simply victims and killers. It's not as simple as that. These people, for the most part, were friends, and in many cases were in love. In the case of Ernest and Molly, they pointed out they were in love.
I'm sorry for all troubles.
Their relationship, a dance of love and death, was the microcosm of the greater tragedy of this untethered greed and unchecked power.
For portraying this twisted tale of corrupted love in Killers of the Flower Moon, Marty earns his 10th Best Director nomination at the Oscars, surpassing Steven Spielberg as the most nominated living movie director.
Marty, how long have we lived?
Oh, it's amazing.
I kind of consider Martin Scorsese the most successful independent filmmaker. He's like the one indie filmmaker that's working with budgets like this. He hasn't let go of that relentless search for these stories. I'm so grateful that it's at this platform.
We have so many deaths we've lost count.
He was so ingrained and in depth, and everything had to be like Osage. He had to make sure that it was accurate, especially for the time and for the era and for the Osage himself.
Being on a film like this with Marty, who no matter what the subject is, approaches it in the same way and pursuing, the truth and finding that core of the story.
It's not helping. It's not any good.
You are the master of our medium, and this is your masterpiece, Marty.
Thank you, thank you.
They're gonna go. Their time is over. It will happen.
It goes without saying, Robert De Niro is a living legend. And in giving this inspired and insidious performance as King Hale, the violent villain of Killers of the Flower Moon, De Niro earns his 9th Oscar nomination.
When these women died, with how Osage suffered from illness, you have to make it the head rights come to you.
It comes 49 years after his first nod at the Academy Awards, which sets a record for the greatest length of time between any actor's first and most recent Oscar nominations.
There's just bad luck.
Seems more like an epidemic than bad luck to me.
This is our 10th movie together. It's always a great pleasure to work with Marty. We get together and work on the script as he and I and Leo did.
It's only fitting that the milestone comes with Marty and Leo. This movie marks the 10th collab between Scorsese and De Niro and the 6th between Scorsese and DiCaprio. Not to mention the long overdue on-screen reunion of Bob and Leo.
These two men that we're speaking to have been like cinematic father figures to me. I got to do my first major starring role with Bob.
He's crazy and I'm leaving! Great, Cole, finally about time.
He told Marty about me, and here we are 30 years later. It's been this amazing experience to be able to work with both of them together.
And then there's Jesse Plemons.
You and I both know he presents himself as a very righteous man, and that's just not who he is.
No slouch himself, the 2022 Oscar nominee crashes the trio's party after previously working with Marty on The Irishman.
How does it feel to be in the Rolodex, and are you a part of the crew? What kind of subscription did you get with Martin Scorsese?
I was definitely thrilled to hear that he wanted to work with me again, I was like, okay, I didn't mess it up too bad that first time.
Nah, come on.
Aside from getting to work with those guys, it was sort of the pinnacle on every front.
I know you did all that you could in terms of preparation and research so that you could tell this story properly. How much of Lily did you bring to Molly, and will there be Molly living on through you?
That's a great question. The Lily that I brought to it wasn't this Lily.
Okay.
The Lily that helped shape Molly really was the legacy of treating another family's matriarch with the same level of care and thoroughness that I would expect an actress to treat my grandmother with.
You know, you got nice color skin. What color would you say that is?
My color. It was one of the first times I was able on screen to just feel for my character kind of the way that a lot of the audience was. I wasn't remembering my performance so much as I was just invested in what was happening to this woman that I found myself caring about in a new way. Maybe it's because in those 2 years, the friendships and relationships that I've developed and contained and maintained with Osage people, they've just become so central and important to my life.
Every single person here, the heart that you've put into it, it's completely changed me as a human being.
When I met her granddaughter and the way she was looking back at me, it felt like she was meeting her grandma, because nobody alive remembers Molly Burkhart. There's photos of her, there's no phonograph, there's no recording of her voice, there's no video of her. That was pretty monumental. I think that was a real special moment for the both of us.
Well,
I felt so much immediate love for this girl.
That sounds like an unforgettable moment.
Thanks for letting me ramble.
Oh, no, thank you. Are you kidding? This is an honor.